us that direction. That's just kind of as things shaped up with the conference tournament. But we like it. We like the draw. I mean, it's an opportunity. You know, certainly LSU, Southern Miss, all the programs. Everybody's good, or you're not in the tournament. So you're going to have to go through quality opponents to get to where you want to be anyway. But we feel really confident. We've been playing pretty good baseball down the stretch. We've lost some tough ones just down to the swing of the bat against some of the top seeds in the country. So we know we can win playing against anybody. Now it's just putting it all together at the right time. And it's good Cajun food.
And what?
It's good Cajun. Yeah, good Cajun food.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, they've got quite a home crowd there.
Mm-hmm.
You think that has any impact, or you guys are just...
No, I honestly don't. I think all of the stuff that's come down the stretch, you know, and happened down the stretch for us, even playing on the road in Nebraska, when passionate fan base there. Jet, you were there, weren't you?
I was not there, no.
Who?
Nobody was there.
Why weren't you, Jet? You know, that was a good, we said at the time, this is going to be a good test for us and a good preparation for postseason play, because playing in front of a large, several thousand seat audience that's cheering against you. But, you know, I go back to, if you're a competitive guy and you're locked in on the in-game stuff and you're worrying about the crowd, you're probably in the wrong job. So I don't think it's going to impact us. I really don't.
You haven't, the last couple of years, the draft hasn't been a distraction, you know, because you haven't been playing, unfortunately. But, you know, this year, do you talk to the players about that at all? When it overlaps while you're still playing?
It's, you know, I would love to sit here and say, oh, our guys are mentally tougher than that. It's never a distraction. It's always your junior year is a distraction. It's so, if you let it be. Now, I think there's levels within that. Some guys, you know, they're human beings. That's going to be on their mind at some point. But I think because you're in a place like this, we deal with it from the time they come back as juniors, and we kind of structure it that way to sprinkle the everyday interaction with it. You know, one of our champs, one of the letters of our acronym is, you know, S, and we stand for stars. We feel part of our responsibility is, you know, moving these guys on to be the future stars. So we talk about these things a lot on an everyday basis, and so I don't see it as the draft day being the issue. I think some of our guys are going to go pretty high. You know, and it could work the other way too. You know, and you know, you kind of get that out of the way, and I think some of these guys are going to be taken high, and then it'd just be a collective sigh. Now they go play, but you know, that's just what it is.
Just what is your process going to be like the next couple of days? What are the things you do to prepare for this kind of event?
You know, there was not a lot of time. You know, we kind of got together and watched everything today at 9 o'clock, and just given some of the other protocols of how the tournament works, we want to get practice in today. Today's a little hectic. So we haven't had a lot of time to even look at, you know, our opponents on film. I think once we do that, then we'll structure our practices accordingly. But you know, it goes back to what I've said, and I've said since I've been here, is, and wherever I've coached, it's, you know, you do some preparation on your opponent, but you got to take care of yourself. So we're gonna, you know, continue to do what we've always done, is make sure our dugout is right, the things that we're trying to do. So I don't anticipate doing too much differently. We'll get our practices in, make sure our guys are rested and healthy, and that as we can be for the weekend, and, you know, concentrate on Friday night.
Will you?
It sounded a couple days ago like you just wanted to play it straight and go with Marsh in the first game. Is that still the general feeling?
I mean, I'll have a better idea once we look at everything. But that said, it's important to stay, as you know, it's important to stay in the winning bracket. Winner's bracket is, you know, and it's always that dilemma with the 2 and 3 seed. Do you get tempted to quote unquote throw off? I think the way that Boyd is throwing right now, he certainly is. You know, it gives you a chance to win against anybody too. So we'll wait, but you know, if we're going to err on anything, I don't ever want to be second guessing, saying, why did we not throw our best? And you're sitting in a loser's bracket. So
if he like pitched early, he could come back as like in a bullpen role too later.
I mean, it's the time of year. You know, you don't. It's not the perfect scenario, and you don't want to do that. Some guys bounce back better than others, but you know, this is that one time a year where maybe you're asking guys to do a little bit, you know, a little bit more or a little bit more out of their normal, quote unquote, normal routine. But going back to what I said earlier, a lot of these guys, particularly a guy like Marsh, you know, being mindful of his career too, which is, you know, I think our responsibility as well to safeguard that. So we'll be smart with all that. But we feel like we're in pretty good, like we feel good about it. So back to what I mean, this region, we feel good about it. We feel we've got a couple starting pitchers that are throwing the ball well right now. Our bullpen, for the most part, there's been some dependability in that, and you know, we're going to give the ball to the guy that gives us the best chance to win. It's not necessarily righty, lefty, and that stuff. We're going to give it to the guys that we trust the most.
Will you need to, like, will you sit them down and talk about just like the mental challenges that go in with an event like this, especially because I think Cole's like the only one who's played in this before?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you just got to kind of make sure your dial is where it needs to be. Some guys will be a little amped up. No secret, you know, there's outside of Cole, nobody's done this, and guys have worked in some cases for a couple of years to get to this point. Experience is awesome, and we don't have postseason experience. We don't have that right now, but we've got a confident group, a group that's played. You know, I think this environment trains you for what we're ready to face, and so we'll talk about it to the extent of, hey, it's what we do. We go play baseball, and you know, probably nobody's really looking, you know, outside of it, nobody's looking for you to do anything anyway. You know, so let's go play and just have some fun, and we know we can beat anybody in the country. So let's go be us.
Does a regional challenge teams differently mentally, just with the pressure, like in your experience?
Well, I think, I mean, you may manage differently because, you know, it's either win or you go home. You know, like you know, this weekend we were using pitchers to kind of get ready for postseason. Whereas if there's a element of, if you don't win this game, you're out or you're going home, you may do something. Yeah, so I think it certainly creates a different strategy in some cases. Yeah.
Do you think, going back to what I asked about the draft, that because these guys have not played in the postseason, that in their mind that's going to trump everything else, just the excitement of
the draft or the postseason?
The postseason, yeah. Because we worked for 3 years to try to get to this point, and it'll maybe make putting the draft on the back burner a little bit easier.
You and I have gray hair and we're older, so we have perspective. So I sit here and say, and this is the believability sometimes, the hay's in the barn. Like, you know, these guys are going to get drafted where they're going to get drafted. They could not play the regional. That's not going to change so much the draft day. Now the trick is getting these guys that don't have gray hair to understand that you know, the draft is what it is. That's probably already set for almost all, if not all, of our guys. The thing you can never get back is this opportunity to play in a postseason like this and with this particular group of guys. So I think our guys, given everything they've gone through, given the struggles the last couple of years and missing postseason play, I don't see us wasting that opportunity thinking about something else. I really don't. I think their focus is going to be certainly on game one Friday night and having putting our best foot forward in what I think is going to be a really, really competitive regional.
Because Carter was talking the other day after Saturday about kind of how emotional it was just playing his last game here and with this group of guys and everything. I got to think that's going to carry over.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, then, you know, I mean, we got the wrong guy. You know, I mean, you want your guys to embrace and cherish and don't take for granted this experience here. Even some of the greats that we brought through here, you know, I'm talking like Willie and Pedroia and those guys, they would be the first ones to tell you some of the most enjoyable time you'll ever have playing baseball is in this right here. The next level becomes a job, and it becomes more cutthroat. So enjoy what you're doing, you know, and don't take it for granted. And so it's good to hear that he said that. Yeah.
You talk about maybe managing a little different. I remember that game in your first or second year with 14 innings where you basically threw everything out there to try to win the winner's bracket game and lost it. Is that an example of what you're talking about, where maybe you just feel like, you know, we got to win this game?
Yeah, I mean,
to get through this region.
Yeah, and I would say within reason, because I think you're referring to the which were you talking, the TCU or the Fullerton?
It was the game that went 14 innings in the second game, but I don't remember which year.
So Fullerton, what was funny about that, if you remember, we had gone to the late inning with Ryan Burr, and Burr, coming out of the closer role out of the pen, ended up throwing near 100 pitches. and I think it's ultimately the one we lost. We walked off, hit somebody, I think, right?
I think it might be.
Yeah, and
I just remember you used basically everybody.
we had to.
Yeah.
And and it was funny because going back to the responsibility, like normally would we ever use Burr for 100 pitches? No, but that's the scenario. But then again, he's saying I want to go out there, and we're like, no. So when I said earlier about you ask guys to do things above and beyond the norm, and I qualified it within reason. So we're not going to hurt somebody, but yeah, you're going to probably manage a little differently, because I think you've got to do what you got to do to stay in that winner's bracket. Not that you can't win it coming out of the losers, but it just if you don't have the pitching depth, it makes it that much harder.
It's just a coincidence shave today, or is it?
No, it's a new season. I mean, if you follow my Twitter, we're 0-0. So this is to. I wouldn't say it's. There's some significance. I told the guys there's some. After I got rid of the handlebar mustache, I thought they'd give a little kick out of that thing. But and I knew you guys were coming. I didn't want to have to explain that. So, but no, there's a symbolic piece to this. Is that hey, it's a new season now. Let's start a new streak. And that's truly what it is.
So is that going to go for everybody then?
I don't know what they do. They're in charge of their own faces. No, I cut mine off. Start a new streak.
Palmieri from your Midwest days, yeah.
I've taken a team, actually a couple times down there. I've not played in the new stadium. We played in the old stadium, and I have a lot of respect for him, what he did. Certainly Navy, Notre Dame, and then now LSU. He's an experienced guy. He's gonna, he'll have those guys ready to play. But I know I speak for the rest of these guys. We're gonna focus on that first game and Southern Miss, they've beaten some quality opponents, so we're gonna, it'll be good to see them, but once that all starts, it's game on.
If you were to win and then it ended up being Georgia, would you guys just stay down there? Have you even thought
I haven't thought that. Honestly, I honestly haven't thought about that. I don't know. I don't know. We'd probably come back.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah, we probably. My hope is that we win and somebody screws theirs out.
Yeah, you could.
Host,
right.
That'd be kind of fun. I think that happened last year at a couple of sites.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the ultimate twist to the season, right?
Yeah.
If you ended up with a home super regional somehow.
Yeah. But I go back to this. I think what in context of everything. I mean, and I even said that it's hard. And I know that it doesn't bode well when you say it at a place like this, but it's hard to get in a regional. It is. I mean, baseball's changed. We feel very fortunate. I'm kind of going through all that stuff last night and looking at RPIs, and I had my buddy in town. We're going through it, and I'm trying to do the seedings, and I'm like, ooh, it's not a slam dunk as we saw today. I mean, I saw TCU got in that tournament. I think everybody in the country, and I love Jim. I mean, good for him. But I think everybody in the country is scratching their head, saying, how in the world is that possible? So you just never know. When you're leaving it up to human beings in a room, you never know. And, but I heard and I don't disagree. They're a very, very good tournament team. My point is that it's, because I remember the year Pat Casey, when they didn't get in, we were sitting in that room, and it's like down to like one more site. And I'm like, and it dawned on me, is like, we haven't been called, and neither is Oregon State. And we had identical records. They didn't get in. And so we're gonna appreciate this opportunity. We're not gonna take it for granted, but I think people need to realize it's not an easy thing to do. And I love the fact that we're the only school in this state that's in it. I like that. So and not again, but it's the fact that we get to, because we've been sitting around watching for a couple of years, and now we feel like this is our turn, so we're gonna have some fun with it.
What did you think about Arizona getting left out? Did you think?
I thought they. It's interesting because you're always looking at. They got hot really late. It's funny how you can use the scenario against anything, because everyone was saying about us, or at least, hey, the Washington State, whatever. They were saying you're playing these teams early that don't have high RPIs. Well, then the strong finish for them, which is good for them, but. I think it was the quality opponent that really didn't make a difference at that point. So, but you know, I mean, in some respects, they probably deserve more than, you know, if you look at the RPI and everything, they probably deserve more than maybe, I'll leave a name on another school or two that got in. I think our conference is well represented this year. I'm really proud of, you know, the teams that are at the top end, the fact that we got 5 in, but that we have, what, 3 national seats?
3 national seats.
That's, I think that speaks very well for this conference, and I think they definitely got it right on that piece.
I came a little late. Can I just get your thoughts on LSU?
Well, I don't know. We're not, well, I mean, LSU, we'll see if we play them, but Southern Miss is who we're focused on.
Thoughts on Southern Miss?
What's that?
Thoughts on Southern Miss?
Well, we'll know more. I mean, we'll know more once we break down the film with them, but they have some quality wins for sure. I know they've got a true ace, and you know, they play in a competitive conference, and it's going to be more of a home site for them than us. So, you know, and then when you have Arizona State on your chest and the history and the tradition that goes with this, you're going to get everybody's best shot. So we are not approaching that lightly, and I didn't mean to, you know, like cut you off on the LSU, but it's like we're not. I mean, we'll deal with LSU when we have to deal with LSU. Our focus truly is on Southern Miss, because you start putting things out ahead of yourself, that's when you get in trouble. They are a good team. They're in that regional for a reason, and they've beaten some of the top teams in the country too.
I know you talked about how difficult it is to even get in, but was there any disappointment just in terms of the way that you started out to the way things ended, that you didn't get to host the regional?
Well, I think it goes back to, I mean, you're disappointed any time, but you know what we preach to our team, and we believe in it. It's not about the start. You're looking at an entire season, and the way that our schedule shaped up. You know, we knew. I mean, I remember talking. I said, "We're okay. We're sitting here at this point right now, but we are going to have to play our rear ends off to get into the tournament based on some of the teams that we had yet to face." So, you know, all of that said, I mean, we beat. You know, we beat UCLA, we beat Oregon State, and we beat Stanford, 3 of the best teams in the country, albeit one game, but each one of those series went literally down to one swing, which I think is a statement of we're right there. I'll trade all of that. So back to your thing, my disappointment or not, you know, I'd love to stay home. It's easier on travel, but I don't know where that balances out on Cajun food, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm very confident in our group of that we can win this regional. I am, and our guys should be too, because we can beat anybody in the country.
You were talking last week about when you're thinking how you were evaluating the season, what's successful, how much of what comes this week kind of is going to alter your view or the way you look back at this year?
Well, I think we want the trajectory. We want to make sure that we're having an upward trajectory, and you know, I would say more. There were some tougher, probably midweek losses. You know, the ones I'm referring to that probably sit in my craw more. So I think there are areas of improvement that we need to, you know, certainly get better on, and some of the depth and the pitching piece to then get yourself in the conversation to be elite, because you can't let those types of games get away. I think that's the next step. I'll probably be in a better position to answer that question, you know, because as I was saying, I'll take the good bounces. I'll take maybe the 2 out runners at first and second. Maybe we'll catch that one at the wall as opposed to it going over the fence in the 9th inning. I'll take my good luck and being good now that the real stuff starts. You've heard me say 1,000 times this year, you got to be good, but it's not always the best teams that win. It's the teams that are playing well, and oh yeah, they're a little bit lucky too. And so I felt like we've had some really tough losses down the stretch. I mean, some really tough losses. So, you know, I think all of that stuff balances out over the totality of the season. So,
you mentioned that they have an ace, Southern Mississippi, and they have a 20 home run hitter too. Does that make it even more toward the lean in the direction of let's just play it straight and go with Marsh? Because,
well, yeah. I mean, and again, I think the only time, not the only time. I mean, I think it's a little bit that other stuff thrown off becomes more in play when you're talking about a 1-4, you know, and I've been in that scenario, but I also remember in 13, you know, where we were the 1, and I think Valpo rolled in there, and you know, we kicked it around. We ultimately ended up going with our 1, and lo and behold, we're down 3-1, and that was Schwarber and Travis. We're down 3-1 going into the 9th, have to hit a improbable walk-off home run to win. when the tournament starts, everybody's got an ace, and so I'm always, you know, let's worry about today, because you don't know about tomorrow. And I think the worst thing you can do, going back to that game on Saturday, you know.